let's dive into pretty much a piece by piece takeaway from the preseason. And it all starts with Kenny Pickett. Obviously, the guy looked every bit of impressive. He finished his preseason 13 of 15 for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 158.33 passer rating. I mean, impressive is definitely a word, but I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is that he just looked so smooth back there, like there was no rust, there was no adjustment period, there was no hiccup. It was just Kenny Pickett, man, winnable quarterback,
Yeah.
really visible. What'd you think?
Yeah, he was just dealing. And I think he looked completely different from how he looked last year. Even when you watch Kenny Pickett and thought that he made an impressive throw last year, it was
Yeah.
it was like a 15-yard out or, 20 yards over the middle. Each of his most impressive throws this preseason was, that deep ball along the sideline to Deontay last night. Perfectly
Yes.
placed, 30 yards downfield. The back shoulder throw to Pat Freiermuth in the Bills game, that was 25 yards downfield for a touchdown. Beautiful. And then of course George Pickens did a lot of work on that catch down the sideline last night as well. But that's also a really well placed ball by Kenny. And it's the accuracy. It's the accuracy downfield. It's leading teams to scoring drive. It's getting everyone involved. I didn't do the math on how many targets he hit, but he throws to. He's not just feeding, Deontay and George Pickens. He's not forcing throws into there. He is finding everyone and getting everyone involved, which I think is a big piece of it too.
Yeah, I agree. And even just like you said, even the throw to George Pickens, I think that's what stood out to me the most is that he understands these guys so well. Like the throw to Deontay Johnson, what stood out to me the most, great ball, obviously, but how quickly he was able to recognize Deontay is going to be open on the sideline. Okay, Deontay, because that wasn't there was no wait. It was a whatever drop back. If it say it was a 5-step drop back, boom. As soon as he got there, he unleashed it to Deontay, which means he knew before he snapped that football that Deontay was going to be open in that exact area. The George Pickens throw, I get that it's maybe a little cliche to say if you throw it up to George Pickens, he's going to catch it. But if you have one-on-one coverage, I mean, Frisman Jackson says it himself, that's a 99.9% chance George Pickens coming down with that football. Kenny knows that. All he's got to do is throw a ball that George can catch, and George is going to catch it. The Pat Freiermuth throw against the Bills was
that was probably his best one of the preseason.
I was going to say, I think that's his most impressive throw. That's double coverage, back shoulder, throws him open. That is a varsity level throw. That's an NFL level throw. I thought he looked good. And, his ability to avoid pressure, I thought was on display during this preseason. Just a much more mature Kenny Pickett. Everything that last year there was a lot of rattle. And when he got to a point where things calmed down, mostly in those clutch moments, in those 2-minute drives, you could see he was just okay, well, I don't have a choice but to just be a winner right now. But before that, it was a lot of oh my gosh, everything is moving so fast. I don't know what's going on. This year, it's you could tell everything is so slow to him. You know what I mean? He can move, he could stay in the pocket. He doesn't have to run. It's just, it was overall very, very impressive. And the growth of Deontay Johnson, definitely noticeable. George Pickens, I mean, we're going to go all season long, talking about trying to downplay the level of George Pickens, being well, he's still got to do this. He's still got to do, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to be more impressive than George Pickens right now.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking, so it's not a super high volume of receptions, but it's the impact of those receptions. They are all massive every time he touches the ball. So when you think about statistically, is he going to put up, a season that's on par with Justin Jefferson or something like that?
Yeah.
No, probably not. We had that debate. What was that, last week or something like that?
Yeah.
But he is going to be as impactful as any wide receiver in his division, in the AFC, in this league. I truly believe that. We've been saying that he has superstar potential, and I think we might have been underrating him a little bit. I don't think he's going to be as how do I phrase this? He's going to be much better, I think, than his statistics
Yes.
would indicate. Like, he is going to be much more impactful than, he might just have, 800 yards and 10 touchdowns, but it's going to be super crucial, and each of his catches is going to be really important, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what also, I don't know, hurts but helps at the same time is that a lot of these guys like Justin Jefferson doesn't really have a two. KJ Hamler, or not KJ Hamler.
Jordan Addison.
Now it's Jordan Addison, but there
Yeah.
was a guy last year. I
KJ Osborne.
That's the guy, KJ
Yeah,
Osborne. His name was mentioned a million times in that quarterback series. I was like, I didn't even know this guy existed.
Mhm.
But Justin Jefferson never really had like a number two. Adam Thielen, but even as Justin Jefferson emerged, Adam Thielen kind of dipped. All those guys. George Pickens, he's like on the verge of transitioning into a number one, but he still has a number one in Deontay Johnson on top of a really strong number three in Allen Robinson and a ridiculous tight end in Pat Freiermuth. So to say that, it's just like you said, like his volume's not going to be there, but his impact might be just as high, just because just like you said, like by the end of the season, you could probably create a highlight reel of just like ridiculous catches that George Pickens has put on display in 2023 alone. It's going to be scary times.